When I was at the Cort factory in Indonesia, I saw a guitar that took me by surprise, and they said, oh, that's our premium guitar that sells for $3,000. Not only is there a Cort guitar that is $3,000, the last run of this guitar sold out when it was $2,500. They've made some upgrades to it and put it at $3,000. So in case you're wondering, is this a new direction for Cort guitars? No. They still make the guitars we know that are, you know, between $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, $600. But they've added a new upper tier of guitars. And I probably shouldn't be shocked, considering we know, because Ola Strandberg told us on the podcast, that they make the True Temperament Strandberg edition, which is $3,600 new and fetching $3,000 used. But to be honest, $3,000 is a different league of guitar, and I just don't know if a Cort guitar can even be taken seriously. So instead of mocking it, I'm going to take a look at it. Maybe at the end we'll understand it a little better. And with that being said, let's get into the geeky stuff. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the Cort KX700 TT. Let's talk about the features, because there's a ton of them. First, we'll start with the bridge. The bridge is a Schaller Honus bridge. First of all, it's built really, really well, and it's easy to adjust. It only has one adjustment screw per saddle to raise and lower them. Adjusting the intonation in the back is extremely easy with an Allen wrench. But then looking at it from the back and how it kind of bolts into the back of the guitar, and how the brass plate for the strings go through. From there, we're going to go to obviously to Fishman Fluence pickups. These are pickups that have tons of different sounds, including coil splitting, vintage and modern sounds, and we'll get into that. Then we're talking about a premium ash top that has been sandblasted to give it a 3D texture, and then a 3-piece Honduran mahogany body. The neck is going to be a 5-piece roasted quarter sawn maple neck. So it's gonna be maple, walnut, maple, walnut, maple. We have a volute here. We have locking tuning keys. Then we have a Indian rosewood fretboard with 24 True Temperament frets, which are stainless steel frets. We'll get into that. And lumen lay side dots, as you can see right there. It also features a Graphtec nut, and it comes with a deluxe gig bag. So obviously the way these True Temperament frets are made is the frets come pre-made and pre-rolled. What they do is they route the pattern into the fretboard and then they glue them into place. First thing you're gonna ask is, well, if they're glued into place, what happens if I need a refret? The fact that they're very thick and stainless steel and a very hard stainless steel, they're most likely not gonna need a refret. But if the case happens, I can tell you exactly how they're gonna do it. They're going to heat the frets, which is going to basically loosen or liquefy the glue a little bit, and then pull the frets, and then they can refret. So they can refret these. It's more difficult than a standard refret in some cases, but not as difficult as other refrets in other cases. Because again, anytime you're gluing in frets, you're adding to the process. Concept is really simple. The idea is that a guitar is fundamentally flawed. When you hire a piano tuner to come tune your piano, he tunes each string. In other words, every key has its own string. On a guitar, when you tune the guitar, you're basically tuning one string. However, they're putting the frets approximately where the notes go. True Temperament is like having a piano tuner come and fine-tune each fret and make micro adjustments so that every single note is as perfect as they can be. There are some flaws. First flaw is someone who's owned one of these True Temperament guitars, I had the Strandberg one for a couple years, is it's not the easiest thing to play with other musicians. You start noticing that your guitar is slightly out of tune, or their guitar is slightly out of tune from yours, especially chords. And the sad thing is because you're in tune and they're not. And that doesn't matter because it has to be like a synergy to it. In other words, we all have to be in tune together. I really recommend that if you get True Temperament, the other guitar player has True Temperament. But if you're a solo artist doing your solo thing, I don't think it's gonna matter. Different tunings. You can do different tunings. Obviously, if it calibrates to E, it'll calibrate to E flat. So what tunings can you do with the True Temperament system? Well, drop D, E flat standard, D standard, open tunings within a step of the standard tuning, and double drop D. Issues I've had with the True Temperament system is open tunings with more than a whole step from standard, and drop tunings like C standard or drop C. This guitar is really for someone who just has a precise ear and wants to hear the chords the way that they should sound. The other things I want to talk about are some features. We have a spoke wheel truss rod. With three-dimensional look of this thing looks just fantastic. A little speck of dust on there. Just look at that. like how it pops. So the first thing we want to check is how it came set up. First things first, let's tune it up. Tuning up the guitar took 38.1 seconds. Beautiful. Okay, let's see how they set this up. So we have the neck set at just a little bit of relief. We'll verify that here when I put the gauge on it, and we'll see what that is. Checking out the action on the guitar, we have the action coming in at 2 millimeters off the 12th fret on the low E, 1.75 on the rest of the strings. The nut is cut perfectly. Let's do a sock test. Let's see how the fret ends are. One of the questions I got a lot last time was, you know, how do you do fret work on these guitars? How do you level them and stuff? I've never done it, so I don't know. Hope one day not to have to ever figure out. Okay. And I'm gonna go a little aggressive on this. And we're gonna call that, I'm gonna call that a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, go here, let's go to the bass side. And the bass side's a 5. That's absolutely 5. 4.5 out of 5 is how we'll call it for the average of the two sides. So again, kind of what we expected. Let's check to see if there's any high frets, and we'll do that real quick as well. Here we go. This is a good time to mention that I do a detailed scorecard on every guitar, and you can look at this scorecard or other scorecards I've done on other Geeky Stuff videos in the description down below. Okay, so no high frets, but this is a good time to talk about the back of the neck and what we call the handshake. You can see that they have 4 screws with ferrules, so there's no back plate. They've rounded over here, and they've rounded the edge, but they did not contour the edge. When you go here to do what we call the handshake, this cutaway is beautiful. The angle of that is fantastic, but this is just a little chunky. If this was just a little rounded or smooth over at an angle here, this would be a much more pleasing joint, especially for a guitar like this with a player who's going to be playing up in here. You can see it's a little bit, but it needs to be a little bit more at an angle coming this way. Let's do some measurements. Starting with the nut, we have the nut coming in at 42.86 millimeters, which is basically 43 millimeters. Or 1.687. The 12th fret, 52.91 millimeters, or basically 53 millimeters, and 2.083. So let's take a look at how they did the electronics. So very neatly done. 25K potentiometers, standard box switch here. I don't like this switch as much as I like the mechanical switch, but I don't know if this all came as a kit with Fishman and they might just be dropping in a kit. Obviously we have shielding, conductive shielding paint throughout. It looks really nicely, cleanly done. The back plate has foil, which is also nice. And it's also recessed in, as you can see from here. Really nice flush. Basically executed beautifully. I mean, it looks good, as it should, as this price point. I'm not looking at the jack. I'm assuming it's a basic jack because of the fact that this is just a drop-in kit. Looking at your electronics, you have the 2 Fishman humbuckers. You have a 3-way switch. Switch here, your coil split. We'll verify all this. And then you have a push-pull here, which is going to be your dual modes. Essentially a vintage and a modern mode. Volume and tone control with no push-pull there. Weight-wise, we have the guitar coming in at 7.25 pounds or 3.31 kilograms. Let's play this thing, go through some of the features, because that's really where the show starts, and then I'll do the summation. Okay, so to start this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug it into my Synergy Syn 20 head. We're gonna be running the clean channel with a little bit of reverb through a cabinet with a cream back in it, mic'd up with a Sennheiser E609 and then a room mic. Couple things you notice between the combination of the True Temperament frets, this bridge, and these pickups, you're going to have a lot of sustain. Okay, so one of the questions, I'm going to leave my mic on for this. One of the questions I got a lot last time when I talked about the True Temperament Strandberg was that you can't do bends, and absolutely you can. So let's go here. As you can see, the frets do not stop you from doing any kind of bends, vibrato, anything like that. One thing you will notice on certain frets, not all, but certain ones, when you do the bend, you can feel the fret, because obviously it's a zigzaggy kind of thing. And it kind of, you feel on the side of your finger. It causes no discomfort, pain, or even, I want to say, it doesn't distract you in any way. Like I don't feel it and go, oh no, stop. You just kind of notice it's there. And I feel like at first, when I first tried a True Temperament, I didn't think, oh no. I just thought, oh, that's a little different. And then it took moments to get used to it. Some may never get used to it. I just don't know. I'm just telling you, I never had a problem with them. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm switching to the Synergy module. This is the Marshall JMP sound, and I'll have a little boost pedal in front of it. I'm using a Taurus Servo boost pedal in front of it, and with a little bit of delay and reverb. So what I'm going to do now is switch to the highest gain module. This is the Soldano SL2. So how about some pros and cons, a little summation of that. One of the cons was the rosewood fretboard. I don't think they should do True Temperament frets on fretboards that are not a phenolic resin or like Richlite. The frets are fine. Of course, the frets are not the only thing in play here. This fretboard is, and if this fretboard shrinks or moves, you're gonna have a problem. So those are the cons. What are the pros? Well, the pros are it's executed perfectly. It's a great guitar, and it just shows that basically great guitars are built everywhere. Do you think Cort's crazy for making a premium tier of instruments with their regular tier? By the way, just one more time, that's not going to go away. If you watch the factory video I did, you'll clearly see that there's no way they're going to convert all the buildings to the master premium building. There's no logic to that. On that note, I think that's a good way to end the video. Until the next time, know your gear.